Hello, everybody. We're back with the Saturday Night Live Zoom family get together again for tonight. And let's see what we have in store. We have some strange warm weather for February here in Toronto. Since everything's going cuckoo around the planet, but we'll embrace it all and take take what nature gives us. It's all good. All good. Hello, Willem. We have Lisa, John. Hello, John. Willem, you got a lot going on. Some good. What's the word I'm looking for? Some good connections to spirit. I guess that's a better word than using the mind. You've been going within. I would assume you're seeing things in a clearer picture than most are seeing it. I can see. It just starts coming to you when you really clear the fog. It's we clear the bullshit. And things start coming to light much easier and easier. We all got challenges. That's no big deal. But hey, life would be boring without challenges, right?
For sure. It doesn't feel to me like it's all getting very clear and I'm feeling things or anything. But yeah. It just works somehow. I don't know how exactly.
Yeah. Well, once you start experiencing it, after a few years going by, more and more things start coming to light on the simplicity of there has to be absolutely no thought process for the body to regenerate, and there has to be no knowledge of how it's done. We just need to know what to do. Stop eating. And aid the body to get rid of the crap. That's really how simple it is. We have so many of us. I was in the same ballpark, folks, wanting to know exactly how this works, the this and that, and the glands and blah, 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 blah. And we really don't know. We don't know. It's just a guess at best. That's why science keeps changing all the time, because they're looking in that narrow view in matter state, which is only the effects of what's going on. But how is it actually manifesting to come to be? It's all coming from spirit, from soul, and it's all done through intent and emotion, not through mind of the soul, intent and emotion of the soul. And for myself, because I can only speak from my experience, I can't speak anything else, but and other people's experience from us witnessing and listening to them, it gets clearer and clearer the more we clean up, and the longer we stay in this kind of lifestyle. Once we start, plugging ourselves up again, the lights start going dim again. You can try it back and forth, and you'll see. I've been there many times, and some of us, others have done the same. You feel so much clearer when you move food out of the way. But the biggest challenge is our belief system and
boredom.
The obstructions that are in the way, which could also be family, friends, co-workers, society. Those are obstructions in our paths. They're putting their 2 cents worth and their opinions in us and what we're doing, and it challenges our belief system all the time. And that's we go, man, maybe I need to eat, and maybe I do need some minerals and vitamins, and maybe I do need some amino acids and proteins and blah 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 blah. In the reality of the matter, I've seen only the opposite happen. People stop eating and miracles start happening. Body starts regenerating magically. Where's it come from? It's not coming from anything we're taking in. It's clearing out those obstructions. Arnold Hart, that's why we highly recommend, people read the book at least. You get a nice clear picture. I've read the book I don't know how many times over the years. Every few years, pick it up, read it again. It's got a lot of good info, and the guy was really ahead of his time, and he understood energy. That's where his formula, his famous formula comes from. V equals P, take away O. Vitality equals power, take away obstruction. It's very clear. It's based on energy. Has nothing to do with nutrition and any of that stuff that we've been led to believe. So, what you're getting close to planning out to start, Willem?
Yeah, well, I have to save up to get the tinctures, which is, for as far as I'm concerned, one of the biggest important parts of the MFS.
Yeah, well,
and, that takes a little time. So yeah. In the meantime, I can prepare.
Excellent. Yeah, it's up the upfront costs. After you're into it, it's for most people, depending where you live, it's cheaper than eating. Even in this expensive city here we have, it's way cheaper for us to be on a master fast than eating by far. And even, though my eating bill when I eat is minuscule, it's still way cheaper. Rana's got her hand up.
Yes. Yeah. Well, about cheaper, I would say it's almost the same as eating raw food for me. I used to, to spend about.
If you eat a durian.
No, but raw food is not cheap. I used to spend about $20 a day on raw food, about $150 a week.
Right.
And now I would say it's almost about the same. But the only difference is that here I'm more disciplined. So I'm not going out. I'm not also with the master fast lifestyle. Less is more. I feel there is more, wanting to live a simpler lifestyle and minimalism, So even like not just food, but everything else. I feel like I don't care to go out so much and buy this and buy that. That's not necessary, So definitely in the long run, if you make it a lifestyle, I would say you're saving money. Another thing I wanted to say was at the beginning you were talking about something. I forgot. I forgot. I raised my hand before.
Not important. I don't focus on these raised hand things. I got to look at the screen more.
Yeah.
Just butt in. But we got a few people that join us here, and it's great.
I remember. Sorry. Yeah, I remember now. So I was talking about the boredom. So today is day 23, and the only reason I would think about food is for the change of, the experience, right? The texture, chewing the greens, maybe some fruits, good seasonal fruits. And yeah, I feel like once you're into the in the master fast, because you have so much, you feel great, and you have so much time, you have so much energy. But then sometimes you want to do something different, and we used to do food, and I don't have that anymore. And that's the only thing, that the experience of, chewing and tasting all these different fruits. When I look at different pictures, food pictures that I've taken before, it looks good, but is it worth it to go back? No, not really. Yeah. So after a few minutes, usually you're like, once you're I would say after like 3 weeks on the master fast, you don't really care so much for like, you might have a thought about the food, but after a few minutes it's gone. Oh, and I had dreams, by the way. I had 3 nightmares so far of eating, and I woke up stressed. I was so stressed out. I was like, no, I didn't want to eat. I don't want to break it. I was feeling amazing. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, thank God. but I was still stressed when I woke up. It's funny. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, those dreams, they happen to a lot of people. Many people have mentioned that. Wake up, oh man, what did I eat? How do you know if you haven't gone sleepwalking and eaten? I'm sure that might have happened to somebody.
Well, as long as I don't believe I did it, then I'm good.
Yeah, Lisa said the same thing. She had food nightmares. Yeah, it's happened to me. And at the beginning, when I started fasting, getting into the longer fast, I used to watch a lot of the cooking shows, the Food Channel back then when I used to have TV way back. And then I'd be watching the Food Channel. And I'd be watching all kinds of, it doesn't matter what they were making. I'd be watching all, just glued to it. And it was kind of satisfying emotionally just to watch people preparing food. It was interesting. Now that we have a different place of understanding where I didn't understand it back then about the emotion. It's interesting, and we heard a lot of stories of mothers who are on the fast and they're preparing food for their family, and they have an amazing joy preparing their food for their family when they're on the fast. They're getting the emotions of that food, the odors and the textures and the feeling, and many have commented that the family members said the food has never tasted better when they were actually preparing food on the fast. This is what we're talking about when we tap into the emotion. It's much, much more powerful. You can't even put a number, a percentage compared to the matter state, because you're tapping into the soul of these flavors and aromas and so on and so forth. This is why essential oils are so potent, folks, and why we recommend people get into some essential oils, even a few, even one or two of your favorite, whatever. Get into essential oils. These things will really help you. Like, rose, I love rose. I keep saying this a lot. It's really, really balancing. It's just, for me, it's awesome. Awesome. But this is where we are all challenged in the emotions, and is where we need to focus, put our focus in practice. Rana?
Yeah, I wanted to say as well, when I was doing Master Fast weekly for 90 days and then 60 days, the thought of food during the week, preparing, what meal I'm going to eat, maybe, thinking about taking a picture of a nice meal and all that, so thinking about the look as well of the food, just creating it in my head, maybe writing down the ingredients that I want to buy. The thought and the whole process of, thinking about it was more joyful. Like, there was more wanting, like attachment to the food than when I ate. When I ate, it was not satisfying. But when I was fasting, it was satisfying. It was like more fun, more joyful. Mm-hmm. Even though I wasn't hungry when I was fasting, but still more joyful.
What was it? A couple days ago, my mother was cooking rice. I went into the house for a bit, and I'm smelling this rice. And I was starting to get my nose a bit stuffy, because grains really do it to me. And that, just smelling it, it was very interesting. Like if you ever drove by like a fast food place and you smell that heavy oil and stuff, man, oh man, it's basically almost like you're eating the stuff, because you're tapping into the emotion of that horrible, horrific death that those animals go through and stuff. It's really interesting when we actually put our attention to these things and focus on the emotion of the states of these odors and how they affect us. It's just a pretty amazing thing. If everybody would be able to do that, stop eating dead animals and dead plants very quickly. We wouldn't eat no more, because everything has a soul, and we'd be able to feel it all. It's just we're so plugged up, our senses, that we're all numbed out to this stuff. But as you clean up, you'll notice you'll be. Can you guys hear that blender going? No? Oh, okay. My son's blending, I think. So yeah, we just as we go along, we will be able to tap more and more into the emotions of these foods, and we'll be able to get the satisfaction more so than actually eating the foods. That's the goal, folks. Because once you've done that, you're living on plasma. You won't need to be eating physical foods anymore. And we're doing it part-time, all the time, whether we know it or not. We're doing it. Some of us will be doing it much less than others, because I know there's people that go to bed right before they eat. They eat right before they go to bed, and there's not much room for any rest and digestion. But the majority of people, I would assume, they're going to bed with at least a semi to an empty stomach, and they have a window of some, digestive rest. And this is the time where the magical happens, is when there's no food in the system. So it's interesting to listen to people's story in the aspect of how they're tapping into the emotions. It's more interesting than what people are eating for me, because we've all been eating how many years? How much more do we need to discuss it? We've taken it to up, down, left, right, in. How many more flavors can we
I have eaten for the rest of my life, that's for sure.
Yeah, so let's focus on some other stuff that's more interesting.
I mean, I feel like I've eaten enough, enough.
Yeah, there's that always that little bit of feeling of when you go into the fast, it comes to all of us of you're missing something. You're gonna miss out. Like if you don't go to the ball game, you're gonna miss the ball game or whatever. It's actually the opposite. When we're eating, we're missing out. We're missing out to that divine connection to our spirit, and this is where I feel we need to fall in love with, so we can go that route more and more and more and more, and do the eating less and less over the years. But pretty interesting. Melissa, you want to say something? No, yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
How you doing?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello?
So what's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm just listening to what you're saying, because that's something that I've been kind of struggling with lately with the food. Like, I really enjoy making the food. I've been making food for my family, and a friend of mine asked me to help her create some recipes, so I've been really enjoying that. And I just finished the 108 days, January 31st. And so I'm doing the Divine 9 cycle right now. So I'm on, I think, the 5th day of fasting for 9 days.
How many days do you go in a row?
I did 108.
Oh, you did 108. Okay.
Yeah, I did 108. And then I did 18 days of incorporating food into my diet again. Right. And now I'm in 9 days of fasting. So I'm on day 5 of that. And it's been a little bit more challenging than doing the 108 days, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
After eating food, it's like, oh, I would love to taste that, or I'd like to taste that. So, but it's funny because I've been watching, like you were saying just now that you watched the Food Network and it didn't matter what people were cooking. All I do is like go on Pinterest and look at what people are eating stuff. It's pretty funny. But I don't know, it's really fun to do that.
Yeah, it's better doing that than actually eating the food. So learn to tap into the emotions of the foods and into the spirit, and you don't need to eat. This is what we're saying, because you'll have the exchange of energies between those spirits, and you'll be balanced out. It's something like some people, when they fast, they don't want to even look at any food at all. This is why we ended up making the post Master Fast page, because people were complaining about food. So we said, well, okay, we'll separate, because me, I don't know, it doesn't bother me. I can look at people eating whenever, when I set my mind, like most people experience, it's usually easier to fast for most people than it is to eat. When you come off a fast, that's the biggest challenge for most of us. So,
I just don't know if I'm ready to let go of food yet. Is the only thing I'm struggling with right now.
Yeah, nobody's telling you to let it go. What we suggest, and is live the lifestyle of less is more. And if a few years in the ahead of us in future, your spirit takes you there. That's where it takes you. But we're not telling everybody to stop eating. We're saying that's the optimal, and I don't believe we're designed to eat any physical foods. But we're brought up and completely programmed to believe that we need to eat. It's not something that's most people are going to let go of very easily, unless there's a big shift consciously, spiritually around the planet. But it's happening slowly, and it's much more so in the last couple of years, actually, about breatharianism, or whatever word you want to use. And it's just going to keep growing because the awareness is there. It's like that 100th monkey syndrome. Once a few people are doing it, it's there. And
I just had a question though, because I know with the fast, you say to do light exercise like rebounding or walking and things like that. What if you wanted to increase your exercise to include more like muscle development stuff? Is that recommended while fasting, or
during a fast? If you've been eating and fasting, have a fasting experience for at least a couple of years, you've been eating clean, mucusless, and when you're in your fast, you don't have issues with getting into lightheadedness, dizziness, vertigo, stuff like that. Feeling faint. You can experiment and try, light weights and stuff, if that's where you want to go. But you need to be careful. You need to really have a sense with yourself to do things vigorously. Like we had Salome, the pro tennis player. She did 108 days, no problem, working out 5-6 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. And she did a tournament while she was on Master Fast. And she lost the least weight out of everybody I've known that did 108 days. She actually gained muscle.
Wow.
So, but she came from eating clean for quite a few years, pretty much fruitarian. And she's been an athlete, all her life. So I said, I don't see a problem with it. Just, look out for these signs. And she had no problem. So it'll be different for each one of us. If somebody's coming from a North American diet and they're working out and they start fasting, more than likely, they've been on pharmaceuticals, you're going to have problems. More than likely. It all depends, how we've lived our life and how we've eaten and what drugs we've taken in our life. These will all become a factor, but you can do light experiments if you want. Probably be a good idea to have somebody near, especially if you're around weights or stuff. If you're on machines, there's no big deal. Nothing can fall on you, the weight machines. But you have to be the one willing to do the experiments yourself. I've worked out fasting in the past years after practicing for many years. You can get through areas if you're doing a lot of straining, heavy weights, where you're going to get that lightheadedness. So you need to be careful. The more we practice, the better it'll get.
Okay, great, thanks.
You're welcome, Rana.
Yeah, I wanted to say that my second Master Fast, I did 78 days, and starting from day 3, I did yoga for 1 hour to 1 hour and a half every single day. It was power yoga. So it's totally fine. Yeah, Ashtanga and also Vinyasa, so either or. So it's totally fine, you know. But of course, you don't want to push yourself all of a sudden. Yoga is fine. Body weight is fine. If you want to go more, then I guess just watch what you're doing, you know, how you feel. And I did 100 squats that time as well, 100 squats a day, and I did rebounding for 20 minutes as well. So I did all that, so about 1 hour and a half to 2 hours of working out every day for 75 days.
Everything is possible. Patience, persistence, consistency. And, you know, we've seen a lot of magic happen in the MFS realm, boy, in the last, what are we at now? 2.5 years that we've started page, 3 years since I started sharing. We've seen a lot of magic happen, and we're continuing to see magic all the time. It's for the people who commit, the people who come in and think they're going to solve all their problems with one long fast. You won't see them around because this is never and ever something that we taught. We taught from day one. It's a lifestyle, and when you understand the lifestyle, less is more. It's as time goes on, the body becomes more efficient because we're removing obstructions, and you're going to have more output. V equals P take away O. So this is the simplicity of Ehret's formula. Have you guys read the mucusless diet? No? Yeah, I would recommend it, John. Yeah, they're excellent information. That one and rational fasting. They're should be read. Because that's how I started with those books, and I've read I don't know how many stuff on different fasting and over the years, and lots of reading. But those Arnold Ehret saw something that others didn't see, in my opinion, and it was just it's just amazing information that everybody should give it a read. Hello, Anthony. Joined us. So, yeah, anybody else want to share anything? Anthony, is this your first time joining us?
Yes. Hi, Gino. How are you?
Great. Yourself?
I'm great. Thank you. I had a little trouble getting here. I didn't see the link on the protocol thing until the very end, but I'm glad I joined you. How are you?
Great. Yeah, excellent. We're just half an hour in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got home and I got my juice started here, and it's going strong.
Yeah, you're going through some good experiences, some nice stuff happening, and
yeah, I am. I'm on day 56.
Awesome.
Yeah, full on protocol, and I had my first meltdown. I think you saw that the other day, which was kind of very interesting, but I learned a lot from it, and I'm learning a lot here in general. But yeah, it's been fantastic. Actually, I can't even believe it. But
most of us go through these things. You know, it's just all part of the experience, and really shines its light on us. And when we reflect on it, wow, man, you know, like, you know, when people are overweight and everything, nobody says nothing. You're fasting, trying to, you know, better your health, and all we get is you know, condemnations or whatever the hell. It's just crazy how backwards everything is out there.
It really is. It's but you have a better I have a better understanding now how backwards everything is. I mean, I really opened my eyes. I mean, to think even on the water level, I had a conversation today of not drinking water. And I mean, the three people I was talking to, they were all looking at each other like, this guy is like, what are you doing? Yeah. And I was laughing. I finally, like, that whole meltdown really turned me inside. And then, you know, Alex Schwen, she had a great talk on that. And I don't know, I feel more alive by it now. So it was a good experience, but yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, that water thing, when I started saying, you know, never drink water again, I was condemned left, right, center, more so than the cup juice, because the cup juice for mainstream people, they were drinking it anyway. But the water,
Exactly.
water thing was a biggie. The cup juice was a biggie for the raw foodists, and it still is. Yeah, I'd never drink water again, you know.
I know. And I wanted to say hi to Rana. We've never met, but hello.
Hello.
I've mentioned this before. I wish everybody would measure their height exactly before they start and then at the end of their fast. I'm sure pretty much everybody will gain some height. We've had many people who've experienced that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's pretty amazing because once your body starts actually hydrating itself, everything stretches out, right? It's nothing to do with, you know, stretching yourself up physically. Yeah, you're gonna get moving and things, but this is done through fields, through plasma. This is how the body works. And once you remove the obstructions, the body's starting to hydrate itself, and everything stretches out on its own. It has nothing to do with gravity, man. That's all bullcrap. It's always gravitational magnetic field that we call positioning. If you get magnets and you put the same poles to each other, they will repel and they'll stop at a certain point. If you get a whole bunch of magnets and you put them on a table, and you try and push them together, they'll go out and they'll find a position. We call that positioning. So the body's the same. When there's obstructions within the body, that positioning gets all screwed up because the fields change. So that some can go closer and we crunch up and we lose height and all kinds of things happen, or we grow bigger this way or whatever. It's all to do with that plasmatic field positioning, which we call magravs, gravitational magnetic fields. And it's such a simple thing. Like we don't even know, like I was saying earlier, we don't have to know the exact hows and whys and everything. All we need to know is what to do and how to do it. And that's what basically we stop eating and we support the elimination. That's all we need to know. We don't need to know the kidneys are down, the adrenals are down, the thyroid's down, the this is down. We don't need to know that stuff because we can't work on that one little organ at a time. We have to work on the whole body from head to toe, and at the same time, the spirit and the emotion. We're working on all these bodies at all the time, and that's why we start seeing magic happen in people. We can't focus on treatment of one area of the body. Yeah, you got something in this wrist, you can put a castor oil pack, but we're not doing that. We're working on the body. We're just assisting and helping the body in that area, give it some assistance. This is where we've been, trying to get the simplicity of what we're teaching through to everybody. As if you've watched me from sharing from the beginning, almost 3 years ago until now, I've removed a lot of stuff that we don't need, making it simpler and simpler. If you listen to my posts, imbalance and balance, that's really where I go to. That's all we need to know, guys. Let's not complicate things. Let's not go to that white jacket mentality of, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we can start using the tools and this and that, but when we do, it takes away from our faith and trust in just letting go and just doing it and then just trusting and keeping that faith. There's another magic that happens when we do that. And when we start sharing with each other and inspiring each other, these magical things start happening. And it's a beautiful thing. Thank goodness for internet that we can, all join from, doesn't matter where we are on the planet.
Yeah, Gino, for me, I have to say, part of, you guys have this pretty well sorted out with being able to research and read people's questions and answers, like a history of, and I love that site. I mean, I've probably gotten more answers by reading that one site where people post their questions and answers. And but I think with the symptoms and any kind of detox symptoms, I think for me, listening to you guys was you can't really get all caught up in them. You have to, like you said, trust in. I think that's really one of the biggest things that helped me transition into the whole protocol, because I did break out in a rash right underneath my belly button and all the way around my waist, like right in the beginning. I think it was like the second week, and I got all red, and my stomach wasn't right, and but I really just kind of wanted to zoom in on this protocol and do the enemas, and I was really doing it. And I swear to God, with the next week, everything cleared up. Like, I didn't have any itching. I didn't have, like, my enemas were running good. Everything, the pudding was right. And that was like the third week. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I transitioned that quickly. And then compared to reading some of the things,
yeah.
But I think believing and getting away from comparing even and trying to compare what you have to someone else or this, that, and the other thing. You just got to trust that this is part of your process and it's very unique to you. Maybe someone had something similar, but you kind of got to embrace it as your own sweet little, healing crisis, if you will. And I think you get through it faster.
Yeah. Like you said, everybody will go through different experiences depending on genetics, lifestyles, environment, et cetera, et cetera. But some people have, we've had a few people with really, really challenging times, and what's the difference?
Let me ask you, since I'm thinking about it, as far as the kidney tea, I keep forgetting to ask, what are the benefits of all those things in the kidney tea? Like, I drink it I probably have like 6 cups a day. I like the hot tea for a change. So, I mean, depending on what time I have the pudding, but sometimes for lunch, I'll just come home and have tea.
6 cups of tea?
Yeah.
That's a lot. We say 1 to 2 cups maximum. Yeah.
I know, but I love it. I need something hot, and I usually have
warm up the juice.
Oh, I was just starting to do that. Oh my God, that's so funny. The other day I just tried it thinking, but yeah, and that's the thing. I'm drinking so much liquid. But sometimes I'll come home and have just 3 cups of warm tea in like 45 minutes and to an hour, and just to have like something warm. And then I'll drink juice at work for the rest of the time.
Yeah, when you're drinking these broths, teas, they're very emotionally soothing. This is where we have that the broth. You use the kidney tea as a base, and you add vegetables. Mm-hmm. That's really helped some people, and really when they went through some really tough times, whether physically, emotionally, that pulls them through. They may do that for a few days, a week, and then back off. We don't suggest you drink too much of the tea because you'll.
There it is.
I'm
brewing a little.
You'll lose the washing effect of the power from the juice.
Okay.
The tea is basically supports the kidneys, mainly those herbs and many other things. Every herb has a range of many things that it helps out. And when we mix it with the tinctures, that's the best way to do it, but it doesn't have to be done that way. We get more of a field interaction happening that way, and that's why we have the tea. And it's nice to drink. So we have varieties in the Massive Fast. We have the tea, we have the tinctures, we have the juice, and we have the pudding. So there's a little bit of variety. So it's just not one thing, and it's it's pleasant for us to go through that. And if you make yourself some herbal wine, you can have a shot of that here and there, which is, I love the herbal wine, man.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Sure.
And it's not the rocket science to make that. I've made a video on how to do that.
Hi guys.
But
just wait for everyone.
It's if you've never tried the herbal wine, try the herbal wine.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to try it. I never tried it, so.
Yeah.
But, Yeah, so today's day 56 for me.
Nice.
I know. Yeah. And I've been exercising. I've been biking. I just started more weight training. I've lost 30 pounds. I had to buy a whole new wardrobe, basically. So it's kind of a little expensive. But I work in a professional environment. But no, I've been biking the whole time. And
what's your lifestyle been before eating and?
My lifestyle was pretty much thinking I was healthy. I mean, I was pretty much dairy free. Not so much. I mean, I never called myself vegan. I was vegetarian, dairy free, because I'm Italian. I would go to see my parents a couple times a month and have meat there. But then during, the off times, I just was never a big meat eater. It was usually like the meatballs from my mom, or she made stuffed peppers. So it wasn't like a big hearty steak. And that was maybe a few times, on celebrations or barbecues. But I got away from meat. So I'm definitely a juicer. I have 2 juicers. I always incorporated juice, green juices, vegetable juices. Did a lot of exercise. I was always physical and biking, and I live in Florida, going to the beach, stretching, yoga. I would try different things, rollerblading. So I've been pretty active. And then sugar, big addiction to sugar. I was, it was like I would do juices and stuff and then go have cannolis or something, which had cream in it, but or fudge. I could eat like a half a pound of fudge, no problem. Like, I love chocolate, so I was addicted to chocolate the whole time, basically. And cacao, putting cacao in my shakes with agave syrup. So I'd make these fruit smoothies, but I'd use agave syrup, cacao, bananas, and a lot of sweet berries and stuff like that. I would live off of those. I would love, sometimes I'd have 2 of those shakes a day and not even eat because they filled me up. But I was using a lot of sugar, agave. And then I'll probably go into fruitarian. I feel like that's what I want to do. And I don't have any problem moving away from cooked food, really. But I was surprised that having no food has been really interesting. Really, really interesting. Very eye-opening.
Yeah, way back, I remember growing up, man, all the Italian pastry stuff, man, I used to go nuts on that stuff. All the homemade stuff.
Cookies. Oh, my God, all the cookies. My mom still has tubs of cookies in the freezer that she always brings out. I mean, I could just sit in the morning with coffee and have 10 cookies. Yeah. And I would be good till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's what I was surviving on. Man, the crashes were terrible. And, then you're looking for something else. Pasta, I love pasta with pesto and olive oil. I can't even believe I'm not eating the olive oil I used to eat. I mean, I put olive oil and saute everything in olive oil, and even vegetable dishes and, pesto and all of that. Even the pesto without the cheese had to have a lot of olive oil. So, I just love olive oil, but to move away from it, it's much bigger than just ingesting it. It's like even not having it in my sink or like everywhere is huge. It's like it really was. It's freeing. I've been pondering this, like not having oil on spoons or pots or pans anymore. And it's really like now I feel like that was so heavy and so thick. So I moved away from it. Yeah.
The oils are very dangerous. Like my uncle brings in olive oil from Italy, from our hometown. And I used to have it by the gallons. I used to do like a liter a week, easy.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot. But still, I know. And I love it. I mean, I love the taste of olive oil. Good olive oil is the best. And I was using a California real pure olive oil So not blended or anything, but to move away from it has been really big for me. And my parents, of course, because they can't believe it's been so long.
Yeah.
So
how many years ago did you start eating cleaner?
Well, probably it's been quite a while. It's been a couple decades of just juicing. I mean, I got into juicing in the 90s. Okay. I even almost opened a juicery. And I was basically, after researching it financially back then, I was living in New York, though, in Manhattan, and it just wasn't cost effective for the rents and all of that. So you really had to have like license a space and have a juicery there. You couldn't really afford the whole thing. And those were the people I was talking to. So that's how I really got into juicing and having, now I have like 3 juicers. And so then I just loved it. And that's when I really started eating what was I considering cleaner and doing juice fast. And it wasn't until probably 2 years ago that I started trying water fast. I had never done just water fast. And then I was doing these 3-day water fast or 5-day water fast. And those are grueling. Never felt well the whole time. And plus, you're drinking bottled water. So I wasn't probably drinking the best water. Now, I use the distilled water for everything, for the tea, for my enemas, for everything. It's just distilled water now. And I have a tub of water here, sitting here, right there, that has been there since I started because that's what I was drinking. I've never even opened this. So I know.
Use it for enemas.
All my juice and water down there. And so, what?
Use it for enemas.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure, but that's just Zephyr Hill spring water. It's just 100%. Yeah, okay. So I will. No, it's just, I figured if I had house guests or something, I'd be, everyone brings their own water now, but I'm like, if I need it, I would be like, okay, here, have some water.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that. Growing up, I don't remember anybody ever having water bottles. Now, doesn't matter where you go, you see people with water bottles.
They drink so much water. It's crazy. I know. And I'm feeling so free of it. I love it. I just love not having to even deal with water anymore on that level, except for the enemas and the tea. But I mean, like to carry water around, or even when I'm biking, I mean, I'll carry the juice around, and drink it warm. And I actually love it. And I actually put a little lime in it sometimes, a half a lime with a whole lemon. I love lemon. I've never had a problem with it. I don't know how my teeth are doing. Sometimes I forget to brush my teeth before my dries, and I'm like, oh man, it's like, then I can't brush my teeth, and I'm like, but I do. But that's like the biggest thing is trying to remember to brush my teeth at 7 o'clock before I start a drive, one of the days that I'm doing it. And then I go to bed and I'm like, I want to brush my teeth. And I'm like, oh, but it's those little things you got to get down. You should have seen me the first times with the enemas. It was crazy. I had grape juice over everything. I'm telling you, I have a set of white towels that have grape spots everywhere. I mean, I was forgetting to plug the thing. It's been pretty wild. But what are you going to do? You have to keep going.
We all learn, yeah.
Yeah, I have to get a clean. I'm gonna have to try and set up. My bathroom's not that big, but I think the Kalima board to sit back, relax a little, like this up and down thing is fine. And I'm doing movements, and now I'm getting into Kundalini with Alex, like the breathing exercises and the arm movements, which I do on the toilet, believe it or not. It's like you can do these Kundalini exercises and move, and it helps move things along. And now I can hold the water for as long as I want. And I just started charcoal. That was another thing. Wasn't doing any charcoal enemas, and now I just started last week. Actually, I did a couple to try it. I actually like the way they make me feel, but I don't like that you can't see anything. Like that's the thing about the grape so I always try and do one water to start, then a grape, then a charcoal now, and then a water. So, and I do 2 quarts, each one,
Nice.
evacuate it, then do another one. And now it's like, at first I was leaking here and there, like after them in the first week. And I was like, oh my God, is this, but now it's fine. It's like, once you're past a certain point, once it's all out, it's out, you know? So
yeah, I'm sure you removed some blockages.
I guess so. Yeah, I blocked. Oh no, I still have, and this is the other thing. I think even at 50 days, some of the stuff that's still coming out of me, even on the last one, when I'm sitting there, I'm like, really? Like, what, you know, all the pudding's gone, and there's still some sludge coming out. So that's been very interesting. So that made me stay on as well. So everyone keeps asking me, how long are you going to go? And I keep telling them 80 days just to pacify them. I'll probably do the 108, which I'm just wondering, what is that number? And I know people ask, I just can't remember. The 108 significance is, I know 108 is a...
magical number. It's a 9.
Yeah.
It's
yes.
It's involved in the mathematics of dimensions of the planets and stuff. It's a division of 432, and you'll see it a lot in the Vedics. That number's a lot. It's used. There's
I know it's auspicious in a lot of cultures.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Number 9 is very, very divine. It's the only number that goes back to itself.
It's my life number when you do the...
oh, really? You're a 9?
Yeah, I'm a 9.
Awesome.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Awesome. Lisa, what did you say? Now my taste buds are very sensitive to oil. I tasted a coconut wrap that had lots of oil in it, and I found it non-desirable. Rana, how much dry fast are you doing, Anthony? My biggest release was on day 108.
Oh, wow. Well, I do a dry usually every 2 days for usually 14 hours, 12, 14, or 16 hours. So like I'm not doing one today. So tomorrow, you know, at 7 o'clock, I usually do them at night, and I just start at 7 o'clock, and then I go to bed at 11, 12, and then I wake up. So I usually try and go 14 hours at least. So that's probably 3 a week, 3 or 4, depending, you know, what my schedule's doing, at least 3. If I can do more, you know, I don't know if I should be, but, I just figured I'd take it a little slow on the dry fast because of reading and people, and I never dry fasted before. I've done wet fast, juice fast, the water fast, but I never did a dry fast until January 3rd, I think, my second day.
What's your longest?
My longest was 19 hours, but that was like the first or second week. And Rana, I think, said slow down, or you said slow down. You know, that's too much.
Well, for daily, yeah. But I mean, we have the daily, then we have a weekly, then we have a monthly, right?
Okay, yeah. But I thought it was like you were talking about weekly was how many hours total of the fast. So if I did 3 a week for 14 hours, that's how I was thinking of it.
We're doing at least 12 hours, and every week we're doing 24 to 36, and then every month we shoot for 3 days.
Yeah, so I thought because I was drinking after 12, you wouldn't consider that a dry fast. Like, so 12 hours, I mean, I'll usually try and do, well, no, I shouldn't say that, because sometimes it's only 9, and then when I, you know, make sure it's 12 to 14, yeah, I've only been doing that 3 times a week.
So how much fluid are you taking in a day total?
Fluid?
Yeah, like drinking.
The juice I'm taking in about 1 liter. Sometimes more, sometimes a little less. Or 2 liters. Let me see. What are these? 64 fluid ounces. How much is 64 fluid ounces?
Yeah, it's close to 2 liters.
Yeah, so I'll do a little under that a day of grape juice.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of grape juice. I drink a lot, and then depending on what I have set up for tea, I don't drink 3 6 cups a day. I definitely will drink a cup in the morning or after I've had pudding for a while, or I come home and I'll have some tea, or I'll keep cold tea. But the grape juice I drink the most because I drink that all day at work. So I probably go through a 64 and a half every 2 days. I'm always bringing one every other day. So I drink the most juice when I'm at work with the lemons, and I have lemons and limes there. We have squeezers. I have a full kitchen at work. I work for a big company, so I can keep we have 2 double refrigerators. I keep everything right at work. So that makes it very easy. But yeah. And then the tinctures I had I got some of the Morris tinctures. I had a guy make me some tinctures from your lists, actually. So the tinctures I put in my morning stuff and do all the bitters, which I love the tinctures. I do an elderflower now tincture. I incorporated, you guys don't use any curcuma? I don't see that in any of your tinctures.
Curcuma, what's that for?
Curcuma is the main, what's the orange root?
Turmeric?
It's turmeric, right. So it's the compound in turmeric. Curcuma is the compound in turmeric that gives you, so it's a tincture, but it also has a lot of brain stuff. I've been doing a little research on it, and I was surprised, and then I looked through your list of tinctures, and I didn't see any in there, so I incorporated it myself. And is it in?
Yeah, we have it here in the liver gallbladder. It's for the liver gallbladder as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I am
names.
saving to buy your tinctures, by the way. I really want to get on board with the MFS tinctures. I had a little, again, like saying I had really invested in Rainbow Root, this guy who's a herb brewer here locally, and I connected with him and showed him some of the things I want, and then he started brewing stuff for me and had some stuff already. So I've been playing around with tinctures more or less, but I usually put them right in my juice. And usually at night as well, I'll do the tinctures, but I don't have a problem with bitters and tinctures and all of that. So, yeah. And then the grape, I also do grape leaf oil. I don't know if you know anything about grape leaf oil tinctures. Grape leaf oil is antibacterial, but it's also just good for the whole system, I guess. So I use some of that.
There's
and
many herbs. Like,
yeah,
we have with the 12, we have about 150 different herbs, and you can keep adding and adding and adding.
Yeah, I put fennel seeds in my tea sometimes. I like the fennel flavor. Star anise I've been using. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we have this green market here with all these vendors with, big just showcases. Not even, they're just tons of dried herbs and stuff like that. So I've just been experimenting and trying things, and but I don't know the tinctures I'm doing. I feel like I would rather be doing the MFS. I feel like I need to be more on board with the MFS tinctures, so I'm working on getting there. And then I just ordered Liberation, which I don't know if you know about Liberation, from this other guy that Alex works with, Adamus. So he just put together this formula of herbs that helps with freeing of old ideas, past ideas that you still store. If you want to look him up, but I'm going to try it. And I guess, Alex is a big supporter of his, and reading the post and what people are transforming through with these Liberation, this remedy per se tincture. I'm very curious to find out how it reacts on a bigger scale, because it's bigger.
All herbs work on the physical and the spirit.
Yeah.
And our kits are designed to work from head to toe and in every which way. Mm-hmm. They said there's 150 herbs. It covers so much. I put some people on up to 18 formulas, and it's a lot, but some people are just pretty imbalanced, and they need all the support they can get. because these babies, they're just loving to help us. That's all they're here for. And it's just vast, the amount of functions that these herbs do. It's unlimited. We only know a fraction of what they're really doing.
I know.
They're magical.
Yeah, I feel very connected to them, and like I said, it's very agreeable to me. Yeah, and I think they're helping in a big way with the whole process. So definitely, yeah. And I got into a little CBD salves for the skin and stuff like that. So I just explored that. There's a vendor there that uses salves just for muscle aches and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Topically. Coconut oil. I use a lot of coconut oil with lavender. I love the aromatherapy and the essential oils. I use them every day on my skin. And lime oil. I use lavender oil. I use frankincense. A lot of things. Yeah.
Anthony, I would focus on the dry fasting schedule.
Yeah.
So every day we do 12 hours. For newbies, we say 12 hours a day. So including your sleep. Including your sleep, yeah, absolutely. That's minimum. So that's nothing. Well, it's like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. It's nothing.
Yeah, so I was doing around 10 probably, but not 12.
So do the 12 at least, and then every week also we do 24 hours. So you want to have 1 day of no liquid, because the power of the master fast is in the dry.
Yes.
I mean, it's all the components are important, but
you squeeze and wash. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Weekly.
No, I will. Yeah. Absolutely.
Every month we give it the big squeeze. Which we're coming up to the end of the month now.
I know. This was a fast month, boy. So, all right.
Yeah, things are moving along. It's good. The eliminations. 108 days is not enough to clean a GI tract. It's a good start. It's a good start.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting there. So I'm So I will do it. Not a problem. So it's just, again, making sure I think of it. All right. And I didn't want to go too hard. So I was like, I don't want to kill myself. I know.
I see people every day killing themselves with food. Fasting, very rare somebody kills themselves with fasting. They do something really stupid. Food what kills us, not fasting. Fasting solves our problems. And then people go off the fast and they get into trouble because they do crazy things coming off the fast. So it's not the fasting, it's the food. And these blockages that we manifest through eating is where our problems come from, all of them, in the physical and in the emotional, because they tie together. One works with the other. And we work out these stagnations slowly, and everything frees up and everything starts correcting itself magically. It's very simple.
Very simple. I love that.
So you've been living where? Florida, you said, all your life?
No, I'm in upstate New York. I was born in Albany, New York. Then, so I'm used to the winters, and I know winters well. And then when I went to college, my parents moved down here about 35 years ago.
Oh. And
I've always had family down here. And so I lived in Manhattan for 14 years. And I went to school, and then I lived there. So I was always coming down to Florida. And then in 2000, I moved down here. And I've been here since 2000. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. It's definitely, I miss seasons. I don't necessarily miss the cold, long winters. I like that I don't have to be in a gym to exercise. I do everything outside. I have since I moved down here. And now the culture has, there's bars and exercise places outdoors everywhere. And of course, like the fruit and the vegetables, and, it's a nice area. for that. I mean, a state to have summer pretty much all year long. The summers I've gotten used to, which can be really hot and humid. And I mean, you go stretches of 90, 95, degrees Fahrenheit for months with 100% humidity. So you sweat all the time, but then you're in air conditioning all the time, which isn't great either. And that's what I don't like is some of these places is, I'm finally acclimated to the hot weather where it doesn't bother me. And I like wearing tank tops all the time. That's like my uniform. Is in the summer, it's much more relaxed and casual. But the traffic is terrible. So, but yeah, I've lived here since 2000 now. Yeah. And my whole family's down here, so it's good. I'm very close to them. They live about an hour and a half north of me, so I can go visit on the same coast of Florida. So it's very quick. And I see them twice a month, at least, my sister, my nieces and nephews. So it's a good thing. I fly to New York if I need to, see friends there, go there in the summer, different things. I still miss New York. I'll be up there in May for something. And so, yeah, I like the summers in New York. I like Saratoga, upstate New York, that whole area. Beautiful. The lakes. I love the lake water. I miss that down here. The water down here the oceans, depending where you go, are filthy some places. Like the shorelines, plastics. And so you have to really go on your little excursions. Like if you see my pictures that I post, I find all these little places and where the water's clean and there's not all the tourist activities. So once you get to know the areas, you can find them. So it's nice. Yeah.
Crazy what we've done to the planet.
Yeah, it's sad actually. It's sad. But I'm hoping it gets better, and I'm hoping we're at a point, and I believe we are. There is a consciousness of globalness consciousness, and you guys are part of it. We're part of it, of this, even what we're doing by not stressing out the system with eating so much meat and food and all that stuff. And I think it's coming. I think it's right. I mean, we're really a part on the cusp of this. So I think the planet's changing over for that, and it's going to push things out. So I'm excited about it. I see a lot of positive things.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of negative to see if you focus on it, but you don't have to focus on it.
Yeah. It is changing. It would be nice if it happened quicker, but it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen.
Hey, what made you start MFS? I don't think I ever asked.
What made you start?
Huh? What'd you say?
What made me start?
Yeah, what made your focus?
You mean
change?
To start sharing?
Not so sharing, but like what was your catalyst that said were you ill? Were you sick? Were you just looking for health, or were you on a road, a path? I mean, I know some of your backstory, but what really convinced you that MFS, like doing that, like where did that come in? What year did that come in?
Started in 1990.
90? That was 90. Wow.
That's my first 40-day fast. That's when the start of Master Fast actually happened, if you want to look at it that way, because everything from that point to now was a piece of what's inside Master Fast, all my experiences that I went through in that journey. And it was, I ended up in bed for 2 years after that fast.
Right.
I burnt out my kidneys, bladder was on fire, and sciatic nerve. Couldn't barely walk most of the time. It was a blessing in disguise. You know, back then there was no support.
Right.
With any information, no internet, no nothing. So I'm looking for, places to go for help. We found the herbalist, this, that, but the information was very limited. All I had was my Arnold Ehret book, and just started experimenting with different things because going to the doctors, I didn't like their answers. So I just resisted to stay away from all they talked about was drugs and surgery, and it didn't resonate with me. So I was so stubborn, I had to do it, find a way through nature. And it was a long struggle of, trying things and finding, things that would help and so on. It took me a long, long, long time finally in 2000, I decided to go 100% raw. After I got out of that scenario, you know, able to get myself back on my feet and start working again, blah, blah, blah. Then I started working long hours and started getting sick again. But I never lost my fasting because I fell into the routine of every season change. No matter what, I went into a fast anywhere from 7 to 14 days. And then I would do long ones occasionally. But in 2000, I decided to go raw. And then things really started to change then. I did really, really well up to a point. You know, I plateaued. I started getting into doing a lot of my own wheatgrass and sprouts, growing everything with ocean water. And it's just, when you grow things with ocean water versus buying it on the market, there's just no comparison. And we were teaching a lot of people how to grow sprouts and wheatgrass, and because we were selling the ocean water as well from about 2004. I did that for many years up until just before I went to Italy, 2013, 14, I think, when I stopped growing the sprouts and grasses and when I started doing the dry fasting. And but just before that, after about 9 years, I started listening to the science and, you know, believing that all sugars were bad, including the fruit sugars and this and that. And I got myself in real bad trouble going on the high-fat, raw vegan thing. I almost killed myself when my friend passed. His heart stopped.
Yeah, I remember reading, yeah.
And I went into a numb state, couldn't remember anything. My hair fell out. My teeth got destroyed. All my joints were starting to fall apart. My hips, my SI joints would be out of place every month. My ribs would be popping out. It was crazy. So I finally woke up one day and said, after I'm all destroyed, this doesn't work. I got to go back to what I know, Arnold Harrit. And then I discovered the dry fasting thing and started jumping into that and back on the fruits, back on the herbs. And then all the information started coming into me again, bang, bang, bang. And Master Fast was born through all that experience.
Oh, wow.
Also with the plasma science, the Kesh plasma science, and so on and so forth. So a lot of different things, you know, happened for me to come to this point. It was like I'm skipping. I'm giving you the quick version. Yeah. There's a lot that went on. You know, always working with my hands, building machines, working with cars. So all this stuff had a play in what we have as Master Fast today. And it's also many, 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 many wonderful teachers that were all a part of that, which is all intertwined, all put in a blender, and out comes Master Fast, the lifestyle that we say, you know, living less is more, because that formula kept stuck in my head from Arnold Harrit: V equals P, take away O. Vitality equals power, take away obstruction. As we dump those obstructions out of the body, the vitality starts going up, because we're not supposed to be eating. and once we clear those obstructions, things start working. They start functioning better, because these things are all interfering with the function of our all the different words we want to use: plasma, prana, light, whatever it is. They are getting in the way, and the biggest blockages is our friggin' belief system through our programming and so on and so forth. So this is basically how we came to this, and you know, and once I really didn't want to start sharing this information. I was ready to go into Margarita Island. I was gonna retire there with my dad. The universe basically said, no frickin' way. Venezuela went to hell. I ended up going to Italy to Kesh Spaceship Institute, and then I came back, and you know, and there was you know, just before I went there to Italy, actually, is when I decided, you know what, I think I got to start sharing, because I was on so many of these groups and stuff, and people sharing all this information. And for me, a lot of it was, I want to use the word hogwash, because it was all focused on adding things. You're missing this, you're missing that, you're missing this. And my whole experience was the opposite. It has nothing to do with adding. It has to do with subtracting all the bullshit through our physicality and our emotions, And that's the way you're going to find your balance. And this is, then, I just started sharing, and eventually people started doing it. And the results started coming in one after another. And, I got bashed a lot. I was told, for the water drinking and for the cook's juice. But, like, as I say, we work with results, not theory. Forget about theory. We can guesstimate in things and how they work, but we really, really don't know 100%. We can assume things. We can guess. But at the end of the day, as I said earlier, once you remove these things, these obstructions, it automatically happens. You just need a little bit of faith and trust, and to pursue it and go forth. This is that sums it up, quickly. And then we have, many people going through the magic, and the beautiful thing is how many people that have done the longer ones are realizing that, man, it's not about the food. It's every time we go back to food, I don't feel good. But the challenge is for a lot of us is to let it go completely. And like I said, even if we don't let it go completely, we know that we can cut it out a lot. Like, I'm eating way less than half than I used to about 4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean? And being Italian, you know how much we eat. So, when I went to raw foods, I was eating a lot for years, and then it started calming down. But the last, several years, very little foods, eating, a few days a week at most. And I'm always have the focus of cutting out more and more. And even when I do the days of eating, like, it's nowhere near what I used to eat. So my focus is to hopefully one day be able to let it go completely. I got lots going on now. I've shared. I've taken care of my mother. That came into play since August, and it's a challenge being around somebody who doesn't want to change. But hey, she's my mother. I'm going to take care of her. I'm not going to let nobody else do that. So we work with the challenges that come, and they're there for a reason. They're there for teaching us, I believe, and everything makes us stronger, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it. These challenges are all for purpose. But amazing, beautiful stories and experiences people have gone through. My goodness, I don't know if you've gone through some of the testimonials. Like Artie was born with a crooked leg and ribs, and they straightened out. Like, how does that happen? Try to explain to us how it happens, because I don't have a clue. All I know is the body, mind, everything. It goes. I like putting it. We get access to the ether of that perfect blueprint of each one of us has out there when we stop eating. And
I actually totally generate with that. I think that's one of the best parts for me is it's not in a book. There's no Harvard study. There's no, it's all happening with these people. And I don't know. I trust in it. It's just the way I am. I totally believe that if you put it up here and you're doing the right things and the elimination and the obstruction is gone and you want it, it is a plasma love energy, and you heal yourself, and that's all there is to it. And there's no explanation except it happens. It manifests, and maybe one day we will know, a bigger picture, but we just don't see everything at this level in the human psyche or where we are on this plane. We've numbed ourselves from even feeling it.
Yeah.
So we don't even feel things anymore. Or, we are starting to, and I feel myself breaking open to just having someone's energy that I thought I knew. Now it's even more compounded. Their energy is such a big, their aura, everything you do. We were so dumbed down and so dulled down that I know it's bigger. I feel it. I trust it.
Yeah, I'm sure we are all part of this one creation. I'm sure we all have access to exactly how it all comes and how it works and everything.
So do I.
but we're clouded. We're, for some reason, in this realm, like, some people, they claim they're seeing other things that, others can't see and everything. I believe it. So, but the universe is so vast and infinite, and universes, there's not only one, there's many galaxies and universes. So it's infinite in every which way, outwards and inwards. And we are just a little speck, just that little speck, but we are part of that greater whole. The information, as the years have gone by, and you start getting into deeper and deeper fasting, just staying without food. I've noticed that, more and more answers come to light right in front of your eyes. Just, wow, why didn't I see that before? It's just in plain sight. They were always there. It's just, there's something that was blocking us to see it. And when you look out there in majority part of society, they're just robots, just, monkey see, monkey do. It's just repeating things. There's no thought process. There's no creativity. And I just shared a video. What was the name of that? It was a TED Talk. So that guy, he did a study on creativity from children to adults. And in children, it was 98%. In adults, it was 2%. What happened from our childhood to it? It's the whole process we go through in this education system and within our society. It blocks us up. They use food, water, air, frequencies, and whatever else to program us. Whether we believe it or not, the facts are there. You want some creativity? Ask some children. They'll come out with the answers way faster than any of us will. And it's just, that's why it's amazing to be around children or animals. Animals are connected, until we plug them up with our food. But just let's tap into the magic. Let's inspire each other. Let's start getting that creativity flowing. And this is why we have this page. I didn't see any other pages like what we have in Masterfast, and it worked out really well. That was my intent, to have it the best support page. So we've had many people compliment on how great the support system is, because this was the intent from the beginning, and everybody puts their little effort in and inspiring each other, and it just keeps growing on top of that. And inspiring each other. As people going through it, they want to share. They want to inspire others because they feel so great. And it just keeps, snowballing, and more people get into it, and more people will experience it. And I think it'll get easier and easier as more and more people do it. Just like, more and more people are focusing on actually completely stopping eating more now than it's ever been. In the last couple of years, it's been growing at phenomenal. Just, there's probably a few million people around the world. It's not a lot, but it's huge compared to what it was 10, 15 years ago when I first heard about it. Vegetarian, veganism was rare. No eating at all. You would very hard to find anything way back in that time. But I'm sure there was a few people even at that time doing that. Yeah, if anybody else wants to share instead of me blabbering on.
Gina, I was going to add something. So you were mentioning how we become taller, and also how Artie's legs straightened and hips.
Yeah, that was even, holy geez, even that.
and Michelle too, right? I remember Michelle.
Her spine, a few people had their spine straightening out. Yep.
Yeah, but I feel 3 weeks in, I already feel I'm not doing yoga yet. I love doing yoga on the Masterfast every day. It feels amazing. But I'm not doing the yoga yet, but I already feel my spine is opening. I love it. My posture is much better when I'm sitting.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like there's space,
Yeah.
It's nice.
You get way more flexible when you stop eating. It's instantaneously.
Yeah, the joints.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too, Rana. I roll out every single day. Like after this, I'm gonna go get my yoga mat out, and I have that fascia foam roller,
Mm-hmm.
and I elevate my legs up in the air, and hold it there for a while. It feels so natural. But then to bring my legs back over, I mean, I'm telling you, like my whole lower body's always been very dense, and I've never been able. But now I feel my spine stretching in ways, and my whole upper neck and back, and to see my legs come over like that, and every single day now for the last few weeks. But even now, I'm just like, I'm so in touch with my spine, and to feel it stretching and breathing. And of course, you don't have the belly anymore. I don't have this big belly in front of me, but it's something about the spine that I've connected with in a whole different way. And I thought maybe it was me, but now that you're mentioning it, it's, whew,
Obstructions are coming out.
Yeah, very interesting.
Everything opens up. It's the fields, the positioning I was talking about earlier. Everything opens up to where it's supposed to be.
I mean, I can hear it. You know, when I twist my body on my bed, you know, I can hear it. I can hear like a crack kind of sound. And that doesn't usually when I do yoga, you know, certain poses, I can hear it. That's great. And it happens now without doing yoga. It's just beautiful. Everything is so flexible.
Yeah, you know, once you've been on this for a while and you go back to eating, even when you eat fruit is the least obstructive of the physical foods next to air. But even when you go back to fruit, you're going to see a subtle difference of obstructing. It's, you know, the fruitarians will argue with me, and I'm going to argue back because there's no reason to argue. It is what it is. I'm going to go through results, not theory. All food is obstructive, period. All three-dimensional foods.
I mean, also, just the fact that your belly is full of fruit, you're not going to be able to do other positions that you do when you're empty.
So, you know, this is why it's a lifestyle. There's daily fast, there's weekly fast, there's monthly fast, there's season change fast, and then we throw in some long ones, maybe 1 or 2 times a year, whatever. Each one will be having their own, or some people like doing the on and off, you know, 1 week on, 1 week off, 9 days on, 9 days off, 30 days on, 30 days off, whatever. Everybody's going to find something that they can work with and continue with that in their lifestyle. It may take a few years before you find, okay, this is it. This is what, and it may change later again. Who knows? But as long as we maintain it as a lifestyle, we have all the tools and all infinite variations that we can use to make it work. That's all we need to do, to be consistent, persistent, and keep it going to make it work for us. We don't have to be like somebody else. We can make it work for us. We have Daryl. Daryl, you the first time you've joined us, or I think you've maybe joined us another time, haven't you? Hello, Daryl. Disappeared. So yeah, it's okay if you don't want to speak, Daryl. No big deal. But you know, with Gloria, how about you? Anything to say? Margaret, Dave.
Gino, are you there?
Yep.
Hi, it's Daryl.
Hey, Daryl. How are you?
So, yeah, I joined some other Zooms on my first Master Fast.
Yeah, I think I remember.
In 2017. So I started another one in January 1st.
Awesome.
Master Fast number 2.
Yeah, you did the 108 days on your first, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You've had quite a few challenges, if I remember.
More so on my first one, being my first Master Fast, and
I mean the reason you've come into the Master Fast, you've had some challenges to work around.
Yeah, I mean my reasons for doing Master Fast, I did the Morse 14-week in 2016, and then from that I learned from Mark James Gordon. He was doing the Master Fast, and that's how I found about the Master Fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, if you remember, but when I ordered my herbs, I put the wrong address on.
Yeah, I still remember.
Yeah, you remember me? But anyway, I wanted to start it a bit earlier. I wanted to start it on my birthday in 2017, but got delayed because of the mishap. And for this year, yeah, so getting back, the reason that I started Master Fast was, my blood work was off a little bit, like red blood cells and so forth. Wanted to kind of balance that out. I was around like smoky bars when I was playing in a band in my early life. So my vocal cords are kind of a little bit weak. And I kind of feel that when I do my detoxes that they're kind of affected. And on this Master Fast, I see a lot of mucus coming up. And what else? I had some cramping.
5 years, Daryl, to get rid of my mucus.
Yeah. It's much better on this Master Fast. It's going much better. I'm actually right now, I'm just finishing up my 3-day monthly dry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 1 hour away from breaking. So
awesome.
Yeah. So I tried to hit the 3 days, and this Master Fast, I'm finding it much easier. And overall, much easier. I just got back from a 10K walk.
Today?
Yes.
Nice.
It was in Vancouver here. We got snow. It's nice and cool, refreshing air. I just went to the farmer's market, picked up some white garlic for my black garlic project. I've got
yeah, that black garlic. If you notice the winters is a whole different experience after you start dry fasting.
I did my last one in the winter time, and then when I went back to food, I didn't really concentrate too much on dry fasting, even though I did a weekly 24. Mm-hmm. I kind of find that insignificant now. So when I go back to food, I will be doing 36 weekly, and I'll try to do the monthly as well.
Yeah, it's very important we stick to those.
Yeah, I'm kind of how do you say, just kind of blending into the whole Master Fast protocol. So when I go back to food, I'll be doing the dries, and I don't intend to do a mini or modified. My intentions are just to go back to 80% fruits, 20%, raw veggies, and experiment with, some other stuff, steamed potatoes and sweet potatoes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, be careful. You should know after your first experience what happens when you go back to food.
Yeah, and some of the challenges that I had when I was on food was, for me, was edema.
Yeah.
I couldn't shake it no matter what I did. The more fruits I ate, the better off I was. The more sweet potatoes I ate, or experimental foods like rice wrappers, like salad wraps, it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, the body doesn't like that stuff. The kidneys are after they get all that relief, with nothing, they become pretty sensitive. But there's still work to do in the kidneys and the heart. Needs to be cleaned out some more. It takes time. Don't worry about it. Embrace it. The edema things, some people have a challenge for several months before it starts calming down, but everything will come to balance. It may take a few years. Doesn't matter. It's gonna come to balance if you stick to it. And the big alarm is the next morning you're gonna feel if you ate properly or not. That should be your wake-up call if you want to continue down that road, or if you want to clean it up more. So when you start getting into potatoes, the sweet potatoes, yeah, they're almost mucusless. The potatoes, I wouldn't be going to the potato stuff. Yams, sweet potatoes, baked beets, the stuff like that is okay occasionally. But we got to take it easy. We can't go back to eating volumes that we used to eat, and really got to stay away from the salt, any kind of salts. That can trigger edema as well. If you can get, if you're near the ocean, you can get fishermen to get you some deep sea clean ocean water. You can use that, but they got to get it way out, not near the shorelines. To get a few pails for you, and you can use a little bit of that occasionally. I found that doesn't give the problems like the dried crystal salt, because they're two different things. The ocean water is in a living plasmatic state. It's actually alive, and once you remove the water and you got the crystals, it's two different things. The life force is gone to some degree. So you cannot make ocean water or seawater through the salt crystals that come from the ocean. Can't do it because there's something missing. So yeah, that's a lot of people miss salt more than the sugar. The salt is probably more addictive, and you get into the celeries and the tomatoes, some of the seaweeds, to get some of that salty flavor, mineral flavor, basically. But the edema, you massaging those kidneys all the time with the burnt stick?
Check this one out here.
All right.
This is, I remember you were talking about your fancy wooden bowls. So I did the same temptation. I ordered like a solid cherry 12-inch wood bowl. And then I got the two, like the mixer things, whatever they're called, the fork and spoon.
Yeah.
So that idea didn't pan out. So I just cut the end off the spoon, and then I burnt it. So this is my,
nice.
I guess, burnt fork.
Yeah, the wood. I love the feel of wood. When you're eating from wood versus anything else. But even better, eat with your hands.
Yeah.
You don't need to wash anything.
So I am doing the kidney massage, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it more from the back, or is it more from the front?
Kidneys it's behind. Right under the last rib. Just go up.
Yeah.
You can feel it with your thumbs if you go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the back.
It's just a little sweet spot.
Yeah, you dig in, you'll feel it, and I try and dig in as much as I can handle comfortably. That a little bit of uncomfort, but comfortably. And I bruised myself at the beginning going so hard because I had a lot of kidney issues happening, and I got a huge, massive relief after my 12-day fast in Italy. That was my first 12-day dry fast. It was the first time in my life that bang, I didn't feel my kidneys no more. It was a huge awakening for me. So that's why we advocate people to train themselves over the couple, 3-4 years, to do the longer and longer and longer dries when you're in the eating stage, not on master fast. It's too aggressive on master fast for most people, because most people are in at least a 20 to 30% dehydrated state. And we've seen a few people dry themselves out dangerously that weren't drinking enough and so on and so forth. They pushed too much dry fasting. So we don't want to see that. So, this is why we've rearranged things to make it so people don't fall into that situation again. Rana?
Yeah, I was going to say for the edema, it's always your kidneys are blocked because the bowels are blocked. So, yeah, when you start eating, especially when you're not eating the proper food, your kidneys get blocked and you get swelling and edema everywhere, especially the legs. And the best thing you can do is to wash your colon. So colonics, enemas, colimas, whatever you can do, as much as you can, and then get into a dry fast.
Get into hot and cold, you know, you got the ocean there, jump in. Jump in the winter. You start getting, you know, if you can get into a sauna and go back and forth, it's awesome. Because what we're doing is we're moving energy with hot and cold, wet and dry, you know, all the up and down. We're moving energy. This is the key, and is why I'm probably one of the few who say we need to move when we're fasting, not lie down in bed. Everybody says you got to rest. If you're tired, go to bed early, wake up later. If there's a day or so you just, you know, do more enemas, start moving a little bit, but you know, always try and push that little bit to get movement in that day, because you don't know. It may turn around and the energy wakes up. It's happened to me so many times that I barely can move, and then you force myself, enemas, bang, I'm off to action again. You know, and then you just go to bed earlier and wake up later, and you're fine. Take naps. Naps are very important. If you need to take a nap, take a nap. They're very, very recharging, especially when you're fasting. I'll do naps, you know, I don't care. Whatever, 15 minutes to half an hour, anything will help. When I used to be working, you know, with steel, building machines and stuff, and I was fasting, my lunches were my naps. Because I wasn't eating, took my half, bang, charge. And I was doing 12, 14-hour days of work those days, fasting. So when people say, can I fast if I'm working? Yeah, I did. And most people work. The only dangerous jobs, you have to be careful. You know, I wasn't some dangerous thing, but I've been doing it for so long. A few roofers asked me, if you're not used to fasting and you're on a roof, you got to be tied up. You got to be very careful. You got to be, you know, prudence, make your decisions. But everything's possible over time. You can do everything. Anything else, Daryl?
Well, I mean, that's what I learned off my first master fast. When I finished the first one, I was weak, and it took me a long time.
Couple months.
It took me over a couple months gradually to build up my strength, because I do a lot of cycling in Vancouver here, and I was just so weak. So on this master fast, I said, you know what, I'm going to do my walks. You know, January, February, it's not really great for cycling. It's just too much rain. Now we've got snow. So I just go and I do an 8K, 6K, 8K, sometimes 10, sometimes 12K walk. And that is kind of my way of getting outside, breathing fresh air. If it happens to be sunny, get some sun on my skin and get some exercise. So hopefully at the end of this one, I will feel much more stronger than the first one.
Yeah, oh yeah. It gets everybody who's done more than one. They all said different experience and easier, better, so on and so forth. It always gets better. When I did my first 108, I think it was the last week, I started having crazy kidney pain, especially my left. And as soon as I broke it, my whole left leg went numb, and literally numb. And I'm getting flashbacks of 1990. End up in bed. So I knew, and I was getting ready to go to Italy. I'm going, holy geez. I was forcing myself to get on the bike. The first day I could barely do 5 minutes on the bike. And it took me about a month to be able to start pedaling properly. And then by the end of the second month, I had more energy and more strength than I had when I started the fast. So it's just, this is going to hold you back. It's just your mind. You really, really got to focus on those goals when these times happen. And a few people have real huge challenges on their first long fast, like really, really huge. You know, some people have been bedridden for part of the time because they just can't move, you know, and you got to just use all the tools and support to get you through these times, because the lower the lows, the higher the highs will be once you clear it out. You just got to have that faith. And if it's just too overwhelming, break the fast properly and, build up a bit and go back later. Because it's just your mind's going to hold you back. Go ahead, Gloria.
Hi, Gino.
Hi.
I'm Gloria, and this is my friend Susana. Hi.
Hello, Susana.
She's from Spain. She's learning English. We want to start the master fast. We want to do 108 days. One of the concerns that she has is that she's on medication for thyroid. Mm-hmm. And she says that if she goes off it, when she takes it, it's like immediate. Whatever symptoms she's having from her medical condition, they go away like immediately. Mm-hmm. But if she goes off of it, she starts to get like swollen tongue, her face kind of swells, and so she's a little scared. She was saying, well, if I'm taking the medication, I can take it during the master fast. And I said, no, it's not in the protocol. I think you need to stop. No. So what would you recommend? Is that dangerous or?
Never ever stop medication.
Okay. Oh, okay.
No. You continue, and then you monitor, and you slowly wean yourself off once you've jumped in. As the obstructions start moving out, you should be able to wean yourself off more and more. We've had a few people get off completely their thyroid medication, and some people were over 20 years.
Wow. Okay.
So will it happen the first time? Probably not. But 108 days is a good start, and I'm sure she can reduce it for sure throughout the 108 days. But continue the thyroid medication. What the medication does, you become addicted to it because they suppress the symptoms, and it just drives the root and seed cause deeper and deeper in. So once you go fast, all these the root causes, the seed causes start coming out to be cleared, and you may have these reactions that feel like you're having whatever situation you're having before you take your med coming up, and you need to go through them and using the tools to go through and let it out. Because if you keep suppressing, it's not going to solve the problem. So, but slowly, surely, you let it out, you embrace it, and you use the tools. Keep yourself calm, learn the breath work, use the acupressure points, use different tools to work through it, and you'll wean off. Slowly you'll wean off. That's what I would do. With help of your doctor, whoever put you on is the wisest choice. Some people decide to take the whole decision into their own hand and do it themselves, because a lot of doctors are reluctant to take you off something that's giving them a paycheck every month. Right. I'm sure they get a cut from every drug that they prescribe. So you need to make the decision for yourself and take responsibility. And if you do it wisely, it's okay. Like what I would do myself, I would take a sliver off every week. They'll get a razor blade and just take a sliver off, and maybe have a way of measuring it or something, so every week see if you can reduce it and see where your tolerance comes to a point where it's too much for you, and then just stay at that for maybe an extra couple of weeks or so, and then maybe start taking another sliver off if you're okay. And that's how I would do it.
Okay.
That's the prudent way to do it.
Yeah. Thank you.
How long were you on medication?
3 years ago.
3 years? Okay.
Yeah. You only take like it's this very small pills, and you're only taking half a pill, right? Yeah.
Don't let the size fool you.
Yeah.
Don't let the size fool you of the poison. You can take a drop of something and kill you instantly.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Very helpful.
Yeah. So I was saying I was thinking it shuts down it does, right? The medication for thyroid mimics the, it's a synthetic hormone, right? And it does shut down, give a negative feedback to your thyroid, so the thyroid doesn't function properly anymore. I had, well, about, I don't know how many years, maybe 10 years ago, I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's. I always had a cyst in my thyroid. And it does come back when I don't eat properly. But yeah, so since I was a little kid, I always had a bigger neck, but nobody noticed until one day the physician looked at it and he's like, it's pretty big and let's do ultrasound. So they found a cyst and antibodies against my thyroid. And they told me you have Hashimoto's. It's a growth, it's a cyst. And my thyroid hormones were not so low that they would give me medications, or my doctor was a smart one, you know, he didn't just put me on medications. He said, well, whenever you feel more tired, whenever you gain more weight, whatever, you know, then we will, come and let's check it again. I'm like, but I feel this way all the time, you know. So definitely not the answer, but at least he didn't put me on medications, right? He didn't tell me it's dangerous, you have to take medications or anything like that. Yeah, he was an older Chinese doctor. And I did when I did raw food, I took some iodine medications. Iodine, right? Iodine, iodide, that's what it's called. And the cofactors and all that stuff with a specialist in the States. And my thyroid hormones were basically shut when I took that. I went to my doctor to check, to give the other medical doctor the results. And he's like, I don't know how you're walking. You have definitely shut down my thyroid, whatever I was doing. So the other doctor said, okay, well, before you start taking, this is down in the States, the specialist, before you start taking thyroid medications, let's, change, take less, lower dose. I was like, what? Take thyroid medications? The whole point of doing this is to help my thyroid. And you're talking about taking thyroid medications. And then anyways, I kept taking them. I lowered the dose, kept taking them until 2.5 years ago when I met Gino. And I started immediately after I met Gino. I asked him, well, this is what I'm taking. I'm taking some vitamin D, B12, and iodine cofactors and iodine and their cofactors. And he said, well, I wouldn't take them. Himself, he wouldn't take them. And then I said, you know what? Okay, I'm not going to take them. And I got them out and I sold them actually. I had a few bottles. I just got rid of them. And I've never touched it again. Not the iodine, not the vitamin D, and not the B12. And I have not been to the doctor since I started my first medicine fast since, that's 2.5 years ago. And I'm not even thinking to go to the doctor. Yeah. So, but since you're taking the medications, I would go and, do it with your doctor maybe, just do it with your doctor and see how, or if you can do it on your own, but learn how to do it properly. It's your responsibility.
Yeah, meds are a dangerous game in my book. And food is dangerous as well. Anything we put in our mouth is a dangerous game if we're not careful. Even too much air, we're breathing too much. We shouldn't be breathing through our mouth, that's for sure. Breathe through your nose. Keep your mouth closed for breathing. Never ever breathe through your mouth. It's for some people it's a real challenge because they're mouth breathers. But to never breathe from your mouth, you have to be conscious of it and really catch yourself taking breaths through the mouth. When you do, correct it. Because you don't want the CO2 level going down. We want to maintain it high, and you'll know through controlled pauses if you're gaining or not. The longer your controlled pauses with no air in your lungs, the more CO2 you have, and the more you'll be utilizing all the elements, not only oxygen, all the elements. Your body starts manufacturing everything because that's the only thing that does. When you take things from external, The body's got to convert it all and process it and put it in a GAN state to be able to utilize the energy through them, where the body can do it itself when there's nothing there. It's doing it anyway. We're breathing CO2 out all the time. The body's continuously making it. It's making it from the air. You know, there's not much oxygen in the air. It's a very small percentage. So.
Hey, Gino, can I ask another question about, you had mentioned that it took you a while about the mucus. That's one thing, I'm glad you brought that up. I still have mucus, and I'm kind of surprised because I know that dairy did that a lot when I got rid of dairy, but then I was wondering, because I work in a commercial showroom with new furniture, textiles and things, and I know they all have chemicals, and everyone's always blowing their nose, and people come in and have reactions. But yeah, that's one thing I've noticed is I'm surprised at the mucus I still have going on.
As I said, it took me over 5 years.
Yeah.
In the fifth year, I had severe lung detox, coughing. It lasted over 5 weeks. During the day, I was pretty much okay. I would have a little cough here and there. I'd go to bed, and in the hour of the lungs, I don't remember what it was, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd get up coughing my brains out for like an hour or two. And I mean coughing my brains out. It was so bad, I had to put a bucket beside my bed of how much mucus was coming out. And the guy, I had a friend who was living with me, thought I was dying because this went on for weeks. I go, yeah, don't worry. And it was very, very, very tiring, all that coughing. But the amount of mucus came out was mind-boggling after being raw 100% for 5 years and fasting and everything. This trigger came. But I had bronchitis twice when I was young, at 15 and at 17 years old, because I was a big milk drinker, right? And everything else, and, you know, dairy and all that stuff, all the good stuff. You know, the grains, that stuff will plug you up too, big time. So it all had to come out, and it took that long to make it come out. With Master Fast Lifestyle, I see it happening quicker with people. So one person, she did 90 days, nothing really happened. Then her second 108 days, she had a lung detox, and it took, I think, about 3 weeks for her to clear that up. I think there was 2 other people who had coughs that they couldn't get rid of for years. Got a Master Fast, cough went away. So, you know, it's going to take a few years at least to clean the body. And let's face it, I don't care where you go on the planet, we can't get away from chemicals. There's going to be places that are better than others, and the big cities are the worst. You know, and being inside with a factory with more chemical would be even worse. But if you're maintaining this lifestyle, as we teach, a lifestyle of less is more, you're in continual detoxing mode, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly. And then you have your Master Fast sessions throughout the year. So your body has a chance to continuously detox this crap out. If you're eating 7 days a week, good luck. You're continuously obstructing. You're going to go back to going to an obstructed state and having all the problems again. We can't do that anymore in this day of age, guys. We're not meant to eat food. So if we're going to eat food, let's do it part-time, and let's keep ourselves in a detoxing state. Maintain your dry fasting schedules, you know, continue your Master Fast, so on and so forth. Get enough rest, eating clean, mucusless as best we can. You know, if we're going to cheat occasionally, make it as clean, as mucusless as possible. These things will keep you in a healthy state. You know, my mind is boggled right now. I mean, I'm not eating the best, cleanest. I'll indulge in a few things that my mother makes here and there. Dairy, no. Grains, I'm really very reluctant because of the way I feel after them. But the last cold I had was when I did 108 days in 2015. And that's the longest time I've been without a cold myself. Growing up, I was one who would be the first to get colds. When I went raw, I was getting colds and flu symptoms every month for a couple of years. And then when I was raw, I would get plugged up maybe once a year or so, and I would notice, depending what you eat and so on and so forth. I didn't pay attention until I went into the high fats, how deadly the high fats were, how much they plug you up in the proteins, like the nuts, seeds, avocados, oils, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the more we move away from that, the less we're going to want, because we're going to feel the effects of them. And when we go into these environments and we're living this lifestyle, we'll sense those chemicals and everything, which is a good thing because your senses are awake. But you'll get over them. Your body will get rid of them quicker because we're continuously in a detoxing state. We're on and off, on and off, and off, on and off. And that's the goal, and that's the key. The dry fasting, the breath work is going to really help you guys if you maintain those. Even if you go off a little bit with the foods that we're doing part-time, not 7 days a week. If you're doing it 7 days a week, you're going to fall off. You're going to get caught up again. I don't care even if you eat clean 7 days a week. Even if you just eat fruit 7 days a week, it's going to start backing you up. It just is. Depending what you eat, it'll take longer, or shorter. But the key is to maintain the detoxing elimination state, which happens through our dry fasting and our master fasting, etc. When you're eating, it pretty much stops. Even a fruit, it's just not obstructing as much. I don't consider any foods that are detoxing foods. The only thing that would be in that category to some degree would be the herbs. But if you use them a lot when you're eating the same ones, your body uses them as foods. When you're using them when you're fasting, your body doesn't get used to them. They're used as medicine all the time. And especially the form we use in teas and tinctures, we're just using the energies, and they give us their magic continuously, as long as we don't use them when we're eating. When you're eating, use them sporadically. Take breaks for a week or 2 or 3. Use them sporadic. Don't get stuck on using herbs all the time, guys, when you're eating. You can do them when you're in your dries, taking very small doses, drops. They will really help the spirit and so on and so forth. So they're really magical, these wonderful beings. They just they help so much, and they're crucial, especially on an aggressive. I don't even want to use aggressive, an efficient fast like Master Fast. The cleaning power is like nothing else. So we really want all the support possible when we're going through this cleanse, because you could get yourself in trouble, like I did, and like we've seen other people. But the people who follow the system, pretty much to the T, have the least amount of problems. So insurance is cheap. It's very cheap. Once you're living this kind of lifestyle for 5-6 years down the road, you may come to a point that you'll be using herbs less and less, and you'll be eating less and less. It's going to all happen because you'll be tapping into your own spirit to do the work for you, because ultimately that's the only thing that can and does do it. This happens over time. Patience, persistence, and consistency will get us there. It'll get us there. I love herbs. I just love the herbs. All the flavors, doesn't matter how bitter, I just love them. Because they just do their magic within us. And it's great.
Gino, you have one question here. Are are mushrooms mucus forming?
Are mushrooms mucus forming? I'm not sure about mushrooms. If they are, there's probably a small amount from my experience. I don't remember on what Arnold Ayers talked about them. They're not really a huge mucus forming food, but we don't want to use a lot of fungi in our diet. Occasionally is fine. We have some of them in our formulas. These things are more like medicines, like garlic, than as foods. So if you do mushrooms occasionally, I do. I like the taste of mushrooms. They're fine. But be wary, I don't think if they are mucus forming, they're very small amount from my experience.
They are hard to digest. I always see them come out of people.
Yeah, it's fungus. They taste great. It's fungus though.
Yeah, it comes as it is out of the body. Unless you chew it properly, you will not see it. But
yeah, they do taste good.
And some people say that it collects what it does. It takes the waste out of earth, I guess, right?
It's a fungus and wants to live, so it could be. That's why we use them as herbs. Yeah. Okay. So where are we at? We're at We're at 2 hours. Okay. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. We have a couple other people joined us. Somebody on the phone and Atrayel Webb. I don't know if she's joined us before. All right. So I guess we'll call it a close. If anybody else has the last thing, keep that plasma love flowing, guys. It's hard for us to digest. It needs to be a lifestyle because it's never been taught this way. Cleanses were taught, oh yeah, just do one once in a while or whatever you feel crappy or stuff. No, not in today's obstructed toxic man. It doesn't work anymore. We've gone way beyond that point. We need to make it a lifestyle and be focused on our goals, on the solutions. Challenges are always around us, and we don't need to focus on that stuff. So all is great, and let's keep focused and let's keep inspiring each other. Keep focusing and writing down your goals, guys. It's really, really key. Practice the breath work. Keep the energy moving. Just keep doing all the things, whether you're on Master Fast or off. I consider myself always on Master Fast in some form or another because there's always dry fasting there. So Master Fast is a glorified dry fast, and that's part of the cycle. All right, so let's call it a night. Good night.
Thanks, Gino. Thanks, Rhonda.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Really nice meeting you. Thank you, Gino. Ciao.
John,
ciao.
Dave, Daryl, Gloria, Melissa. Did I get everybody? Margaret.
Lisa.
Okay, guys. Dave. See you guys again. Keep seeing the board.
Ciao.
Be well. Ciao.